Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Tuesday, the 14th of September. Continuing with McShane's readings, we read the second book of Samuel, chapter 10. David is established as king, and he hears that the king of the Ammonites has died, one of the neighboring tribes. And so in verse 2, David thought, I will show kindness to Hanun, son of Nahash, just as his father showed kindness to me. So David sent a delegation to express his sympathy to Hanun concerning his father. When David's men came to the land of the Ammonites, the Ammonite commanders said to Hanun their lord, Do you think David is honoring your father by sending envoys to you to express sympathy? Hasn't David sent them to you only to explore the city and spy it out and overthrow it? So Hanun seized David's envoys, shaved off half of each man's beard, cut off their garments at the buttocks, and sent them away. And thus he responded completely inappropriately, provoked the Israelites, and a war resulted which saw David victorious and the Ammonites defeated. And as I read that, I thought, here was a king who was given bad advice, and he followed that advice to their detriment. And the Bible is full of stories of people getting good advice as well as people getting bad advice. We see Saul getting bad advice from people. Later on, Absalom, when he tries to take over the kingdom, is given bad advice. David receives good advice. And we challenge to find people that will give us good and godly advice. Now, the best advice we have, and the foundation of all good advice, is the scriptures. That's God's advice to us. And there's nothing better than God's advice. So we have the scriptures as the basis. And any other advice we listen to needs to align with scripture and be consistent with the standards and the principles that are established in scripture. And these days, there's so many people offering advice. And it's not just our friends and our family and our contacts, but people on social media, people in society. And how many people haven't been told not to get vaccinated by somebody offering good advice, somebody that knows the truth, which is complete nonsense. You need to get vaccinated for COVID. That's the only way we're going to get any kind of progress in dealing with this disease. So there's so much bad advice out there. We need to be careful whose advice we listen to. And at the same time, we also need to be careful of the advice that we give. And we need to be clear that we are circumspect in giving advice. We don't rush into telling people what to do because we don't know their entire situation. And when we are going to give advice, we need to be praying within our spirit, God, let it be your advice. Let it be aligned with you, your purposes, your will, your standards, so that advice given to this person is good and godly advice. So my prayer is that as you go through life, you'll be a source of good advice, you'll listen to good advice, and you'll know that the advice that we have aligns with Scripture, because that is the best advice we've been given ever. Know that and be encouraged.